Coming up today on the San Francisco 49ers Report, we have another new Brandon Aiyuk update from ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, and we're going to talk about the video that's gone viral on social media. Brandon Aiyuk taking the practice field at Niners training camp, dapping up John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. What does it mean? And I want to start there, but first, make sure you subscribe to the channel for daily videos on the San Francisco 49ers. We're a little more than a week away from Niners preseason games getting underway. We'll be doing watch parties here on the channel. Hit that sub button right now. This is your go-to spot for Niners coverage year-round that's informative, entertaining, insightful, and involves you, the faithful. Yesterday, the video that everybody is talking about from Niners training camp. Brandon Aiyuk walks onto the practice field wearing all black, non-team issued gear, and he daps up John Lynch, then he daps up Kyle Shanahan, and they exchanged a hug. What do we make of this? Could a deal get done before the end of the week? Is Brandon Aiyuk about to get traded at some point this week? Does he know that a deal is looming, that he's about to get the bag? I think that when you look at that clip, there was some positive energy from Lynch with that handshake. He put some mustard behind it. And then Kyle Shanahan went in for the dap as well as the bro hug. So if things were hostile between Aiyuk, Lynch, and Shanahan, I don't know if there would be that type of embrace. But we are left to wonder what it means. What do you think? Let me know down in the comment section right now. As for what Adam Schefter had to say on the Pat McAfee Show, a lot of takeaways that I have from what he said, and a lot of it is things that we've talked about here on the show and elements that have taken place that are pertinent, obviously, as Aiyuk looks for this new deal. Schefter saying on the Pat McAfee Show how it's a tough situation between the Niners and Aiyuk, given the wide receiver market has exploded, and in turn, Aiyuk's price tag has gone up numerous times this offseason. He also said that the window to get a deal done has greatly reduced. I have a lot of thoughts on that coming up here just around the corner. He added that Aiyuk is in a situation where he wants to get a new deal, and if not, he wants to get traded, which is why he levied upon that trade request, trying to force the Niners' hand at either moving him to a team where he can continue to be the number one and get paid the contract that he deserves, or get a deal done with San Francisco, which I still think is priority number one and preference number one for Aiyuk, because he gets to continue that camaraderie and the kinship, the harmonious on-field relationship with Brock Purdy. You know that Kyle Shanahan's going to put him into a position to succeed. And what did Aiyuk say after the Super Bowl loss when he was at his locker room, when he was asked what he wanted in looking for this new deal? He said, I want to win. So you can continue to have a great relationship with your quarterback. Your head coach is going to lead to you having great production, and you can continue to win with San Francisco, because even though after this year, which I think is kind of an all-in last dance type of campaign for the Niners, they're still in a spot where they're extremely talented and deep. They're still going to have really good quarterback play, an elite head coach, and regardless, they're going to be talented. And if the Niners were to get rid of a Deebo Samuel after this year, because the money on his contract is not guaranteed following 2024, what does that mean for Aiyuk? More targets as a wide receiver on this offense. Continuing with what Schefter had to say, I thought he made a great point in saying that at this point, if a trade were to happen, the Niners might get 75 cents on the dollar in return. And why would the Niners do that if they have the Super Bowl window right now? There are a couple of unfortunate mistakes and officiating calls, self-inflicted wounds, a play here, a play there, from winning their sixth Super Bowl. And they're still in this Super Bowl window with the roster that's probably the most talented in the National Football League. So why would you trade Aiyuk away, who takes away from your offensive production? Right now, if Aiyuk were to play, you have 11 starters returning from a team that made it to the Super Bowl and should have won it last year. And you're going to trade him for 75 cents on the dollar for an all-pro who's continued to get better every single year? It does not make sense, because why would the Niners do that if they can win that Super Bowl? Aiyuk helps get you there. He's a great weapon for Brock Purdy. His production has skyrocketed with Purdy being this team's starting quarterback, and he's under contract this year for 2024. on the fifth-year option, $14+ million, and the Niners can franchise tag him each of the next 2 years. As for what Schefter said about the window closing to get a deal done, has the time frame to give Brandon Aiyuk a contract extension greatly reduced? As Schefter said, look, I still think there's time to get a deal done. Obviously, you want to get a deal done sooner rather than later. Brock Purdy threw 7 interceptions in back-to-back practices on Monday and Tuesday before finding a groove on Wednesday. The offense has struggled a little bit without the services of Aiyuk, top 10 wide receiver in the league, and arguably the best left tackle in the game in Trent Williams. And when you're missing pieces like that, the offense is going to take a step back. So you want Aiyuk on the field ASAP. You want Trent Williams to come back as soon as possible as well to start building toward the continuity, mastering the scheme, understanding the new nuances and wrinkles that Kyle Shanahan is trying to introduce. But in football, more than any sport, 11 guys on the field have to be on the same page at the same time, and those reps are really important in the ramp up to the season, especially when you start off against a defense like the New York Jets, which is one of the best in the NFL. So ideally, you get this deal done by the end of the week, so you get Aiyuk on the field, getting reps, training camp practices under his belt. Maybe he gets on the field for the second preseason game. If he doesn't play in the preseason, you still have confidence that he could be a highly productive player. But the more reps, the better, and we saw that with Nick Bosa last year. And in speaking of Nick Bosa, with what Schefter said about the time frame being greatly reduced to get a deal done, look, George Kittle did not sign his contract extension until August 13th of 2020. Fred Warner already signed his deal in 2021. That came on July 21st. Deebo Samuel just got his deal done back in 2022 around this time, the final day of July, on the 31st. And then Nick Bosa on the 6th of September. So you think about that time frame there, 12 days until George Kittle got his deal, a day after, as of this recording, that Deebo got his contract, and then there's still more than a month until Nick Bosa got his contract. So I still am a believer there is time to get a deal done for the Niners as well as Brandon Aiyuk. You want to work toward week 1. You want to get this offense in motion, being a seamless unit, the explosive team that we all know they can be. But to say it's greatly reduced to get a deal done, there are still contracts to be had and to be signed for a lot of players across the NFL, especially at the wide receiver spot. Brandon Aiyuk looking for a new bag. CeeDee Lamb still looking for a new contract. The same can be said for Jamar Chase. And because the wide receiver market has exploded so much this offseason, it's become really hard for these teams to pay their respective wideouts. Gonna be back later with a Trent Williams update. Be on the lookout for that. I told you on yesterday's show when we did our training camp winners and losers through a week of practices. I am in Maine right now. As you can see, the background and the house that I'm staying at is Peak, Maine. Belgrade Lake section, Rome, Maine, on Great Pond, if you want to look it up. Anybody familiar with that region? Let me know down in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time here on the Niners Report.